Hello, everyone. It's Charlton. And here is actually, I have a picture of my wife's pot pie that she made me. Chicken pot pie she made from scratch. Can't see that very good, but and it was delicious. Absolutely delicious. Made from scratch, crust and everything. The other night she made me a shepherd's pie. And she's just being a good wife. She just wants to think of new things to cook for me, and she's Persian and all that. But she cooks all sorts of stuff. So that was that. I want to talk about the Botham Jean situation case some more. The individual was shot in his own apartment, Southside Flats in Dallas, Thursday evening, a week and a half ago. Amber Guyger is the off-duty officer who reportedly went to the wrong apartment, according to her story, and in my opinion, I think she did. Okay, there you can argue over whether she was trigger happy and other things too, and we're here to look at some of that stuff. But in my opinion, and I feel pretty strongly about this, that she did go there by accident. And I mean, I hear some people saying things like, she murdered him and stuff that's just absurd in my opinion, and making other comments, of course, but I just find that ridiculous. That's not the case. In part, but I can almost understand, because basically, from a legal standpoint, once you establish that she went there by accident, and this is what the lawyers are going to do, that will basically put it very close to absolving her from the crime. It really will. And I'm sorry to say that could I mean, that's how it's going to go. Once they establish in court that she went there by accident, then they're going to move on to basically it means she didn't break the law in shooting somebody that was in an apartment that she didn't understand that wasn't her apartment. But that's how it's going to go. And so I've always wondered, I don't know that this is the case, I really have always wondered when it comes to the Vegas investigation, whether or not, the hotel's attorneys were using people to go online to basically influence public opinion, whether it's in the comments or even creators. That thought has crossed my mind. Now, this is much smaller, lower, and it doesn't have the high profile nature of the Las Vegas massacre, but I don't know, man. Sometimes I see comments that almost sound like they are people that are from, I mean, that wouldn't shock me at all. It's a small amount of money to pay to get a big bang for your buck to influence public opinion. I mean, this is how elections, accordingly, supposedly were won, by basically just influencing people's reality because of what they see around every side of their face, whatever. All right, so, but I know this thing pretty well, and so I'm going to go through this kind of roughly here, but my time's limited and stuff. So, I mean, one thing that surfaced, Alabama showed me this, and I thank you for that. I do, for sure. Is a Pinterest account that didn't get scrubbed. She scrubbed her account really quickly. She was quite effective at that, and I'm assuming she got some help from attorneys who are fairly decent attorneys, that she scrubbed everything, but the Pinterest account somehow stayed up there. And it's got typical stuff that a law enforcement officer would have, because of all the animosity towards law enforcement. I don't think it shows she's racist. I haven't even read through everything. And I don't know that I'm actually even going to, because I kind of want to focus on other stuff, and I'm not trying to give her a pass on this. People are so ungrateful. No one ever thanks me for having patience not to kill them. And that's a joke. The NFL died of colon cancer. I don't find that racist. Many people have a problem with Colin Kaepernick, and you're looking at one. I mean, and I don't have a problem with him. I just think he's a jackass, Honestly, I mean, people have made this about with regards to that, I think, my problem is almost more with him and the way he's just kind of being a big baby, than other things. But and I don't like people kneeling during the national anthem either. I think it's all absurd. So I just showed you. I just don't have time. I want to go through other stuff, and I think it's more important. Really, what I want to look at, a couple things. I'll get to It's the weed, man. That's the question I have, is about the weed. Damn. Come on, dude. Cut me a break, man. So, but I'm going to save that for last. And I think that's that might be the key here. And I'm actually going to throw a bone to the attorneys of the family of Botham Jean. And I understand that the family of Botham Jean isn't in this for the money, you know, by many accounts. And I actually believe that they're a prominent family from St. Lucia in the Caribbean. You know, I really believe the mother just wants to know what happened. And I even believe that, I believe she was just upset the other day. I actually think she doesn't probably think that, because I don't think Amber Guyger is the devil. And I saw the video. I'm not going to play it here. I think the mom was really upset because of the fact that the search warrant was made public the same day that he that he was laid to rest, and in that search warrant it revealed that there was marijuana in the apartment. And actually, that's what I'm here to talk to you about. I really am, and I think there's some significance there, and I'll clear it up at the end. It's just my opinion. I don't know these things, but it came to me this morning, just came to me right now. I think I might be right about this, but it's just my opinion. All right, but let's look at some other stuff quickly before I do, and that's starting with this. This is a CBS report. It's actually from a little bit ago. It's from September 11th, you know, and but there's a little video of her. I don't know if that's what day that is. If that's the incident in question, it sure looks like it is, but it's hard to say for sure. But in this, there's two defense attorneys who are basically saying that after reading over the affidavit, and the affidavit, and this is the one about, I think the one, her arrest warrant, not the search warrant. They're saying that there's no listing of motive and stuff like that. And basically, the defense attorneys are saying that it's very possible she won't be convicted of this manslaughter crime because, how did they describe it? There's no mention of recklessness or motive. I'll play what he says. Basically, that's what's necessary. Even for manslaughter, it has to be some kind of reckless aspect to it. I mean, he's basically saying that it just sounds like negligence and more or less just an accidental death, an accidental killing, which means that she could be not found guilty. Definitely. And according to him, I'll show you his opinion in a second. There's a little footage here, though, of Amber Guyger, and I believe it's of the knife in the question. There's some little footage of her, so I want to play that for it first before I play him, and then get on to the thing that I thought was most significant, which is the weed, and I want to discuss that a little bit more. But here's just some video of her right there.
Their first look at whether the Texas Rangers believe Dallas police officer Amber Guyger committed a crime when she shot and killed the 26-year-old man.
Okay.
It reads much more like an accidental killing.
Well, it's a plain vanilla bland affidavit.
Two prominent defense lawyers we spoke with say the words reckless and intentional are missing from the probable cause affidavit, which would usually be included in manslaughter or murder warrants.
It's an interesting read. I will tell you, it doesn't read anything beyond negligence, if that. They simply do not specify how she is reckless, which is the required culpable mental state for manslaughter. It doesn't rise to the level of criminal misconduct.
Attorney George Milner said...
Okay, and he has no ties to this whatsoever. He's just a criminal defense attorney, you know, and criminal defense attorneys see things like a criminal defense attorney, but nevertheless, you know, and I have no bone in this fight. I've said this before. It doesn't affect me. I'm just trying to tell you what I think is going on here and what the deal is. Doesn't mean it's right, too, you know, just because I don't have a bone in the fight, I could be wrong all the time. But so let me just give you his summary of what he thinks, man. I didn't even need to do that, but
I'm criminal defense attorney. How confident would you be if you represented this officer?
In my honest opinion, I think if I was representing her, she'd walk.
And those demanding harsh punishment for officers.
Okay, and you see his facial expression. He says that reluctantly, but he's giving you his honest opinion. All right, so moving on. Before I move on to the weed exactly, I just want to, this is... actually, before I even move on, you know what? The 911 call. I mean, I think I said this in a previous video, and this isn't the actual audio of it, but they have some quotes from what she said. So some literal quotes, some kind of, it's not the transcript, but it's still, you know, literally what she said on the 911 call. And she said, "I'm so sorry." You know, that doesn't mean she's innocent of things, but I'm just saying she was basically acknowledging that she made a mistake, you know. And she said, I'm so sorry, Guyger said repeatedly. According to the two sources, she told the 911 operator how tired she was and said, how did I do that? As she tried to figure out how she got into the wrong apartment, the source told WFAA. Okay, how did I do that? Like, you know, she wasn't, how is that even possible? How did I go to the wrong apartment? How did I get in the wrong apartment? Those are the words of Amber Guyger, says dozens of times in a 911 call moments after the fatally shooting Botham Jean in his own apartment at Southside Flats. The two sources described the details of the 911 call to WFAA and details about the investigation. "I'm so sorry," Guyger said repeatedly. According to the two sources, she told the 911 operator how tired she was and how did I do that? I'm just repeating myself. And an arrest warrant affidavit obtained by the Texas Rangers and released last week revealed that Guyger was on the phone with 911 when she flipped on the lights and realized she was in the wrong apartment. The desperation in her voice is awful, one of the sources says. Botham's controversial death ignited protests and calls for Guyger's arrest and firing. To the best of my knowledge, she still has not been relieved of duty completely. She hasn't been fired. All right, so and this has been out there for a little bit. This about the contents in the apartment. Right. So let me try to get through this article, which I think is relevant here, just to explain some the weed, you know, which I'm going to talk about at the very end. One more time. So Merritt, the attorney, Lee Merritt, for the family of Botham Jean. Lee Merritt and the other Jean family attorneys, lawyers, have also criticized the search warrant that revealed about 10 grams, less than a half ounce, of marijuana in Jean's apartment. They claim that the release of that information was a smear campaign orchestrated by police to assassinate Jean's character. It had a specific purpose in mind, Merritt said. On the night that he was killed, the Dallas police investigators were interested in finding information that could help assassinate his character. The attorneys have questioned why police would have included searching for narcotics in the affidavit seeking to search Jean's apartment. Okay, I don't necessarily completely agree with that, but legal experts say there are valid reasons investigators would have done so. When you're conducting an investigation, the whole point is you're trying to figure out what happened. You don't know what's important, said Chris Mulder, a Dallas attorney. You get the warrant out of an abundance of caution. You list in the warrant anything that could possibly be relevant so that nobody can complain about it later. It's just good police work. Mulder and other legal experts say investigators would not want to risk evidence being thrown out because they did not include it in the search warrant. Legal experts point out that if police had not included narcotics in the search warrant and drugs had been found, for instance, in Guyger's belongings left in Jean's apartments, then that evidence would have been inadmissible in court. Let me just say that again. And they're just saying for instance, but still, nonetheless, legal experts pointed out that if police had not included narcotics in the search warrant and drugs had been found, for instance, in Guyger's belongings left in Jean's apartment, then that evidence would have been inadmissible in court. You go ahead and put it in there just in case you find it, Mulder said. He also says that they may have included narcotics in the search warrant because someone may have already seen it out in the open in the apartment. I'm sure everybody saw it when they went in there to treat the man who had been shot, Mulder said. It's in plain view. They've got to collect it. The attorney and Jean's family were also upset that the news that marijuana was found became public on the same day that his funeral was being held. The fact that moments after his funeral, we're now discussing questions like this tells you the issue that we have with the police officers, Attorney Daryl Washington said. Okay. All right. So there's that. I'm going to just discuss one more thing before I talk about the weed, that weed. The lock report. In this, because eventually we're going to learn about the locks and what happened. I'm almost and that's what this discusses here, the Dallas Morning News, is whether or not a lock report's going to tell us if she entered the apartment on her own accord or whether she was let in by him. We're not absolutely certain of that, but that's what this kind of discusses here, and I think it will. I think it will basically determine whether the door was unlocked. The unfortunate thing is, and they basically went to the website of the lock maker and went through, I think, some of the specs of the lock and the system to write this. But the one thing they don't mention is here can the door be opened if it's unlocked? And I can't seem to get that answer. You know, somebody in the comments had said that that's not possible, but I'm sorry, I don't believe that. I just don't. You know, I mean, a modern lock system has to have a way for you to leave the apartment without your keys and to be able to get back in without using the key. Just has to. I mean, I don't think that you would have to bring your keys down to put your mail in the mailbox or to put your trash into the trash or to go down to your car for a second or whatever. There's got to be a way to leave the apartment without your keys and still get back in. And that's by just leaving it unlocked. But they literally don't tell you whether or not, if it's just left unlocked, if you can just open the door, you know, from the outside. And I think you can. But I don't know that for sure, so, you know, I could be wrong. So, a search warrant obtained September 11th granted the district attorney's office permission to pull any data stored on the locks. Both locks, hers too, because they're checking to see if she used her key in her apartment first and then went up to his. And that's a good thing. So, law enforcement has obtained reports about access to locks in both apartments and to the elevators. The contents have not been made public. The report should show whether Guyger unlocked her own door before going to Jean's apartment. It would also show whether she placed her key in Jean's door, even if it didn't work. You know, it would show whether or not, because that red light going off, it's a digital event. You know, it's unclear whether the data would show whether Jean unlocked the door from the inside around the time of the shooting. Okay, but that's just unclear. If data stored inside the locks does show Jean's door was locked. If data stored inside the locks does show Jean's door was locked, it would support statements by Jean's family's attorneys who say witnesses heard someone banging on Jean's door, shouting, "Let me in." I think the door was unlocked. I think she put her key in there and turned the handle, and because the door was already unlocked, the key didn't need to work, and she went in. I don't think she ever said "let me in my opinion. That "let me in" never came out until days later. Initially, it was "open up, open up, open up, open up." That's what we heard. And "open up" sounds a lot like "hands up." All right? You know, should she have shot? No, she should have waited. She's a trained law enforcement. She should have said, "Identify yourself," whatever. You know, just not blowing them away. Okay? But I think she said hands up, and I think she entered that apartment on her own. I could be wrong. Alternatively, the data could show the door was unlocked and ajar, as Guyger told police. Alternatively, the data could show the door was unlocked and ajar, as Guyger told police. I mean, what if it was just unlocked? I mean, they don't talk about everything you want to know. You know, it's just the way it is. An electronic lock that resembles the ones at Southside Flats stores data on 200 entries, according to a description on the lock by the Swiss company Dormakaba. That lock, like the ones for Guyger's and Jean's apartments, is accessed with an RFID key, a key that uses radio frequency identification. Inserting the key into the hole above the handle unlocks or locks the deadbolt. Okay? The data stored inside, according to Dormakaba's website, includes the time and date the lock was accessed. It also stores the identification number or username of the person whose key was used. So the locks could reveal when Guyger and Jean's doors were last locked and unlocked. The data could also show when Jean accessed his apartment last with the key. Okay, the company did not respond for a request for comment. So back up here, inserting the key into the hole above the handle unlocks or locks the deadbolt. That right there, man, it tells you it can lock the deadbolt. Do you have to lock your own deadbolt to leave that place? That means it could be unlocked. That means it could be unlocked, and then you could enter it when it's unlocked. This is exactly what Building 2 is, where my parents' condos are. You literally have to lock the deadbolt yourself so that you can't get locked out, okay, with your key. And if you don't do that, the door's unlocked, okay? Now, I don't know that that's absolutely the case. I was rambling. It's not even mostly what I want to talk about. Mostly what I want to talk about is the weed. And I don't even have it up here, unfortunately, the list of things that were found. But it says right there, it says less than half of an ounce. That's quite a bit, actually. It's not like tons. Believe me, I'm telling you, I have zero problem with this. And I know of what I speak pretty much, man. Up until a few years ago, I was a pretty regular dude with this. All right. Calm down, Charlton. But I'm just saying, I'm not judging anybody, man, at all. It doesn't make any difference to me. Trying to find his, still unorganized, man. The list of things and exactly what it was called. Exactly how, there it is, right there, dude. And I don't have the actual warrant up here. Actually, I do. But it's right there. It's 10.4 grams of marijuana in Ziploc bags. All right, which almost sounds like, police contents, because it sounds like it's in multiple bags, like somebody who had just taken it off of, a small-time drug dealer. Let me just finally get to the point. Goodness gracious. All right, so it's not actually listed in the affidavit search warrant. It's just listed as such as narcotics. And I don't need to read through the list just to save time. I've already rambled on enough. But this must have been what they actually retrieved from the place. In this list, I've seen this in multiple articles, so it was provided to media. And it says 10.4 grams of marijuana in Ziploc bags, plural, and one metal marijuana grinder, And, everybody's different. Everybody likes... Like I said before, I know of what I speak, but I was a very basic, just whatever. I didn't get into all the different toys and various things, I just didn't need all the other extra stuff and the high-tech tools. I don't know the most modern stuff, the vaping, and that's the most, but I'm very familiar with everything else, believe me. And there's many different ways to smoke weed. You can use the toilet paper bowl. That was that's when I grew up, and I used that all my life. It's easy peasy, piece of tin foil, some tape, and a toilet paper bowl. The end of a toilet paper bowl works like a charm. But, so I never used the metal grinder, and I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, everyone's different. But still, something tells me that this is not his weed, and many people think it is. One, because it's bags, if that's true. If it's Ziploc bags, if it's in more than one bag. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if it's his or not. I think my guess is it wasn't. And that it either was evidence that she didn't book into evidence because she made a mistake, or she was tired, or just didn't want what was going to do it the next day, or because it's her weed. I don't know, or she got it on arrest and she decided to just, whatever. And I'm not trying to besmirch her now. I'm just saying I got this funny feeling that it's not his weed, and that what happened is even though I'm defending her all up until this point, that it was an accident. I'm not defending her shooting him. She was trigger happy. Fine, she was trigger happy. But everything she says is true, I think, up until the marijuana point. It's just my opinion. It's just speculation. I don't know any of this stuff for a fact, but she mistook his apartment for his own. She went in. She opened the door because it was unlocked. She put her key in, but the door was unlocked. She didn't need to, and she entered. She starts putting all her stuff down that she had with her. All this stuff, a laptop, a backpack, a black backpack with police equipment and paperwork, an insulated lunchbox, a ballistic vest, all the stuff she carried from her car coming home from work, she's putting it down on the floor. Her commotion, the noise she's making wakes him up, or just alerts her to her being in his apartment, and he shows up, and then it happens. But then after the fact, maybe because she knew having that on her possession in this situation, she actually thought of it and said, oh my God, yeah. And she just quickly took it out of maybe that insulated lunchbox or one of the backpacks or whatever. And I'm just speculating. I have no idea. This is not proof. It's just my opinion. And put it on the kitchen counter. Because, that way, they would think it was his. And she wouldn't be in trouble for either making a mistake and not following protocol and bringing home illegal, material that's evidence and bringing it home before booking it into evidence, or because it's hers. And but the other thing that hit me this morning in terms of is I thought the timing of the release of this information of him on the day he was being laid to rest might have been significant because I don't know. I don't know if their attorneys had his blood drawn to see if he would have, marijuana in his system. And I'm saying to exonerate him, okay? And basically, pretty much would come close to proving if he didn't, it doesn't mean absolutely, but it'd come close to proving that that's not his marijuana. And then there you have it. And that's what I'm saying. And that's the end of this video. Thanks for watching my videos. Please subscribe to my channel. Give me a like down below, and I will see you in the next video. Sorry for my rambling. Later, man.